mobile, I guess the battery is getting old and all that. So I had to change the battery, and yeah, I can change my battery on this mobile. So I just changed the battery. Apparently the one battery doesn't seem to be so good. Anyway, so I used the time to get some food and see if I can lift this. It's kind of hard. But this is like Iproso or things. You call it something else, Paulie, something. But this is the concentrated thing that I have. Let's see. It's very concentrated. I put, usually they say if you want it to really, this is like 20 of these, 20 of those, full of those, and put in to 4 liters of water, around 4 liters of water. That's totally exact, but around that. And I must say, in the beginning, I had a huge difficulties actually, it's not tasting good, So, one can only hope that the fungus hate it as much as I do. But anyway, it's it's just it's not that bad when you get used to it. And but I don't know if the candida can actually become resistant to this, and I don't even know if it actually works in the whole body or what. So, but anyway, I got some food. I got my meat eaten, and with some butter on it. I love butter. Sadly, it's probably not raw and all that, and that does seem to have some sugar in it as well. But that's I have some coconut oil as well. But I hate coconut oil, and some say it can actually. I guess coconut oil should actually be less of. There's something in regards of air and damage to oils and so forward. I've seen something in regards of that. So but there's also some oils that's very in regards of medicine and all that. So I don't know. Here we have the nystatin, by the way. That's the thing that I got, and it has a release date of 2 months and so forward. So. It wasn't actually that expensive. It was actually. I do wonder if you can actually use this for your dandruff. If nystatin, if the fungus actually have a hard way of actually making resistance to this, why isn't there any dandruff shampoos? I did use the Nicerol. I don't know if I actually have the thing still in my bathroom here. No, doesn't look like it. But I bought 3 bottles of Nicerol, and it worked in the beginning, but I guess the fungus became resistant to it. The easiest way to actually get over dandruff, which I'm still using, is to cut the hair totally. After it just exploded up in my head, this thing, when I went to the bakery, it's like, when I cut my hair, I just had it was just incredible how much dead skin or whatever it is. It's just really really bad, really bad. So, but of course, in regards of Nicerol, I think it's Nicerol, that kills fungus, right? And it seems like sources also are talking about that dandruff can actually be connected to candida. So the dandruff I have is not, I saw some page talking about 2 kinds of dandruff, one in regards of oily and so forward, and just the other in regards of being dry, being connected to candida. Whatever the case, I don't have the oily form, I just have the dry form. So that would, fit that description, I guess. So here we go with some tea, some hot tea. It's in my, what is it called? Cup, titanium cup. Anyway, so we should go. Oh yeah, by the way, I found the video. I found the video that was talking about in regards to the mutations. We have 2 videos. Actually, there was 3 things in regards of ordering, but I guess they didn't have any more DVDs or whatever to send me, because I was a little late in the. I got over these many months I got 1, 2, and 3, and then I collected them together and sent them back so I could get my free, whatever, which is actually not that free, but they should probably do it over the internet if they want to do it free, and I don't know. But anyway, so it's called the Programming of Life. That's one of them. And of course, I could actually just turn the camera. That would probably be better. It's called the Programming of Life. That's one of them. And then we have The Mystery of the Declining Genes. Starting Data for Recent Creation in Our DNA by Dr. John Sanford. I'm not sure. That's a guy. I can't remember which one of them, but it seems to be pretty much on the same subject. It's a little sad because in regards to the third video, that I don't know which one of the, I can't remember the titles of all the 3 titles, and it might actually have been an interesting video as well. The 2 others was interesting, but he talks about like 60 to 100 mutations from every single generation. And so it adds up as time goes. So our code is actually becoming more and more damaged over time. So they, of course, didn't have so many mutations then from the beginning. Anyway, we actually didn't get that far in the book. Let's see if we can. The problem is the light up there. And I don't have anything to block it at the moment. I don't know if I can actually block it with... I'm not sure if it's actually... I don't think it's... Probably is not... No, it's not big enough to... could of course use some tape maybe, but... I guess I could just find another place to sit. In any case, and some, what is it called? This is said to be antibacterial as well. Can't remember. You can, as long as you don't eat too much, it seems like if you eat too much, it can do something in regards of, I guess, the blood. I've heard something in regards of blood thinning or so whatever. I don't know, but I just eat it like that. And it's kind of hot. What is it called in English? I don't remember. But it is kind of hard, But you get used to it, and you actually get somewhat addicted to the, I do like a little hotness, like cayenne pepper. I love cayenne pepper. This is cayenne pepper, and I use that a little in the tea I make with these other antibacterial, what's it called, gloves. And it doesn't really seem to actually have, I've taken a lot of cloves, and I just gave it full force, and I haven't really seen any, of course I'm not totally up, but of course that would be expected in regards to taking all the antifungals, but I haven't really seen any totally adverse effects of taking these things. Maybe anyway. Let's see here. That's also kind of, when you smash the gloves up, it gives you a little heatness. So let's get back to it. Let's see if we can get the camera to... Okay. Don't you believe it? Okay, see... Okay, I think we got down here. Bacteria never forget. Never forget. Got along for billions of years, and we already, took it out in regards to that branch. So we could, along for billions of years without us. We couldn't survive a day without them. They process our waste and make them usable again. Without that diligent munching, nothing would rot. They purify our water and keep our soils productive. Bacteria, got a lot of things in my teeth and all that. Bacteria synthesize vitamins in our gut, convert the things we eat into useful sugars and polysaccharides, and go to war on alien microbes that slip down our gullet. I don't know about gullet, but anyway. We depend totally on bacteria to pluck nitrogen from the air and convert it into useful nucleotides and amino acids for us. It is a prodigious and gratifying feat. As Margulis and Sagan note, to do the same thing industrially as when making fertilizers, manufacturers must heat the source material to 500 degrees Celsius and squeeze them to 300 times normal pressures. Bacteria do the same thing all the time without the fuss. And thank goodness, for no larger organism could survive without the nitrogen they pass on. Above all, microbes continue to provide us with air we breathe and to keep the atmosphere stable. Microbes, including the modern versions of cyanobacteria, I'm not sure I'm saying that right, cyanobacteria, supply the greater part of the planet's breathable oxygen. Okay. Algae and other tiny organisms bubbling away in the sea blow out about 150 billion kilograms of the stuff every year. So, and they are amazingly prolific. The more frantic among them can yield a new generation in less than 10 minutes. Clostridium perfringens. Okay. The disagreeable little organism that caused gangrene can reproduce in 9 minutes and then begin at once to split again. At such a rate, a single bacterium could theoretically produce more offspring in 2 days than there are protons in the universe. Given an adequate supply of nutrients, a single bacteria cell can generate 280,000 billion individuals in a single day. According to Belgian biochemist and Nobel laureate Christian de Duver, in the same period, a human cell can just about manage a single division. About once every million divisions, they produce a mutant. Usually this is bad luck for the mutant, for an organism change is always risky. Well, again, the mutant would be something in regards to mutation, right? Maybe some damage to the code. But just occasionally, the new bacterium is endowed with some accidental advantage, such as the ability to elude or shrug off an attack of antibiotics. Do they say what antibiotics is? No. Antibiotics from fungus poison. Anyway. With this ability to evolve rapidly goes another even scarier advantage. Bacteria share information. By the way, DNA is information. Any bacterium can take pieces of genetic code from any other. Essentially, as Margulis and Sagan put it, all bacteria swim in a single gene pool. And I guess Sagan must be the scientist guy in the television, but I've seen a little of that, but I'm not sure who Margulis is. But anyway, so put it, all bacteria swim in a single gene pool. Any adaptive change that occurs in one area of the bacterial universe, by the way, universe, I think actually means universe, one verse. Anyway, can spread to any other. It is rather as if a human could go to an insect to get the necessary genetic coding to sprout wings or walk on seedlings. It means that from a genetic point of view, bacteria have become a single superorganism, tiny, dispersed, but invincible. Now, I know we're getting closer to the thing in regards to fungus, but anyway, they will live and thrive on almost anything you spill, dribble, or shake loose. Just give them a little moisture, as when you run a damp cloth over a counter, and they will bloom as if created from nothing. They will eat wood, the glue and wallpaper, the metals and hardened paint. I would think fungus would do some of these things as well in regards of eating wood and glue and wallpaper. Isn't that fungus that you know? I've seen, Doc Kaufman, he talks about in regards of, and some of the sources where the mold can grow, underneath the, wallpaper and so forth, and underneath, the carpet and so forth. Anyway, yeah. And in regards to the wood, eat the sugar in the wood, to grow. That was something in regards to that as well. Anyway, scientists in Australia find microbes known as Theobacillus congretivorans, which indeed could not live without concentrations of sulfuric acid strong enough to dissolve metal. A species called Micrococcus radiophilus was found living happily in the waste tanks of nuclear reactors, gorging itself on plutonium and whatever else was there. Some bacteria break down chemical materials from which, as far as we can tell, they gain no benefit at all. They have been found living in boiling mud pools and lack of caustic soda deep inside rocks at the bottom of the sea, in hidden rocks of icy water in the McMurdo dry valleys of Antarctica, and 11 kilometers down in the Pacific Ocean, where pressures are more than 1,000 times greater than at the surface, or equivalent to being squashed beneath 50 jumbo jets. I think just one jumbo jet would pretty much squeeze me pretty good. Anyway, or equivalent to being squashed between 15 jumbo jets. Some of them seem to be practically indestructible. The Enococcus radiodurans is, according to the Economist, almost immune. They're using a lot of big words, right? Anyway, almost immune to radioactivity. Blast its DNA with radiation, and the piece immediately reform like the scuttling limbs of an undead creature from a horror movie. Perhaps the most extraordinary survival yet found was that of Streptococcus bacterium that was recovered from the sealed lens of a camera that had stood on the moon for 2 years. In short, there are few environments in which bacteria aren't prepared to live. They are fighting now that when they push probes into ocean vents so hot that the probes actually starts to melt, there are bacteria even there. Victoria Bennett told me. So telling the guy that wrote the book, that would be Bill Bryson, I guess. In 1920s, two scientists at the University of Chicago, Edson Bastien and Frank Greer, announced that they had isolated from oil wells strains of bacteria that had been living at depths of 600 meters apparently, not meters, meters. The notion was dismissed as fundamentally preposterous. There was nothing to live on at 600 meters. And for 50 years it was assumed that samples had been contaminated with surface microbes, We now know that there are a lot of microbes living deep within the earth, many of which have nothing to do with the conventional organic world. They eat rocks, or rather the stuff that's in rocks, iron, sulfur, manganese, and so on. And they breathe odd things too: iron, chromium, cobalt, even or uranium. Such processes may be instrumental in concentrating gold, copper, and other precious metals, and possibly deposit of oils and natural gas. It has even been suggested that tireless nibblings created the Earth's crust. I do wonder in regards of oil, because some believe that, I've heard sources that where the oil deposits are actually filling up, they say. I don't know about that, but who knows if it maybe is bacteria eating something that makes more of, I don't know. Some scientists now think that there could be as much as 100 trillion tons of bacteria living beneath our feet in what are known as subsurface lithoautotrophic microbial ecosystems. Slime for short. Okay. Thomas Gold of Cornell University has estimated that if you took all the bacteria out of the Earth's interior and dumped them on the surface, they would cover the planet to the depth of 15 meters, the height of 4-story buildings. If the estimates are correct, there could be more life under the Earth than on top of it. That's funny when people are talking about, in regards of life and all that, and yet in regards of a growing organism, in regards of a human being, that's just not living, apparently. That's just, life begins at conception, so what you have inside of you in regards of a woman is a child. It's the whole DNA code is already there. It's but we'll just call it a fetus, and then it's okay to murder that organism and kill that. Apparently no rights for people in the mother's womb, apparently. It's just disgusting. This is just totally diabolical world. Just in Denmark, we have killed nearly 1 million. The number is 860,000 something from since 1983. Was 1973? Oh, I don't know where that number went out of my head. When was the movement in regards to the feminist? Was it 1917? So then it was 1973. So these rebellious, murderous, women, that hate men, because it's just so much better to follow a hormonal disturbed woman, apparently, to lead the family and all that. Just incredible. The logic is just totally lost. But what do you expect of women? Anyway, and now we are murdering our children. That's just totally incredible. It's just disgusting. Anyway, if you woman, if your wife comes and tell you, hey, I want an abortion, what do you do as a man? No, you don't get an abortion. Maybe it's a little hard to actually. I need a table instead. This was like, no, you're not going to murder my child, okay? Get over it, So anyway, that's the man's job, to, Anyway, I would have been better with a table, right? That's much better, Anyway, so yeah, that's just a sidestep, I guess. But yeah, so apparently, women want rights and all that, and they want to be whores. That was the whole idea of the feminist movement. I've read it, I was, reading it directly from their own page. They wanted to whore, they wanted to have free sex, liberty to become or be whores, pretty much. Just to whore to the left and the right, and when you whore to the left and the right, sometimes you become pregnant. And then you, of course, apparently needs to kill your own child. It's just incredible. And of course, not only that, of course, hatred in regards to men. In regards to the patriarchal system, oh yeah, men are bad, men are evil, men are the worst, and all that. Oh, give me a break. These women are just totally outrageous, Someone should have cast them in the water. Or actually, maybe that would have been better to actually do something much more serious when you actually are proposing to commit murder. And we now have nearly 1 million children murdered. Now that's, of course, only the registered, oh, I have a right in regards of my body. Well, you should have, you have the choice up until you begin to spread your legs, okay? Incredible. That's the time you have a choice. So from there on, I'm just pro. What's it called? Pro living. What's it called? Is it called pro living or something like that? Anyway, so I'm pro choice up to the spot where you actually spread your legs, and have, so, and if you become pregnant, that's just pro life from there on, But of course, that could of course ruin the chance of a woman actually finding a man, because your value just just fell. The value was just just went downhill for sure in regards of a woman. And that's the differences in regards of a man and a woman. That's differences in regards of this and that. And one of the things in regards of women is in regards of the youth and in regards of being pure and not having had sex with other men. So anyway, yeah, there's other things in regards to that. But anyway, and if you get a child with another man, a man wants a child of his own, in regards of that. I think that's. But then, no, why wouldn't you actually, have another man's child and No. Just it's like. Yeah, you're going to use a lot of resources and all that. Of course, a man would like to have his own children, so it's just, it's in this insanity of women logic, which pretty much, I guess, not logic, but the opposite of logic, insanity. So anyway, it's got through that. They would cover the planet to the depth of 15 meters, the height of a 4-story building. If the estimates are correct, there could be more life under the earth than on top of it. At depths, microbes shrink in size and become extremely sluggish. The liveliest of them may divide no more than once a century, some no more than perhaps once in 500 years. As the economist has put it, the key to long life, it seems, is not to do too much. When things are really tough, bacteria are prepared to shut down all systems and wait for better times. In 1997, scientists successfully activated some anthrax spores that had lain dormant for 80 years in the museum display in Trondheim, Norway. Other microorganisms have leaped back to life after being released from a 180-year-old can of meat and a 166-year-old bottle of beer. In 1996, a scientist at the Russian Academy of Science claimed to have received bacteria frozen in Siberian permafrost for 3 million years. Yeah, that's bullshit. That's utter bullshit. The world is it's only around 6,000 years, so this millions bullshit is just outrageous. But the record claim for durability so far is one from Russell Rayland and colleagues of Westchester University in Pennsylvania in 2000, when they announced that they had resuscitated 250 million year old bacteria called Bacillus permians. And that's again bullshit with all those years. 250 million years old. Bullshit. They had been trapped in salt deposit 600 meters underground in Carlsbad, New Mexico. If so, this microbe is older than the continents. It's just... the report meet with some understandable dubiousness. Many biochemists maintain that over such a span, the microbe's components would have become uselessly degraded unless the bacterium roused itself from time to time. Well, maybe it's not millions of years. Oh, give me a break here. However, if the bacterium did stir occasionally, there was no plausible internal source of energy that could lasted so long. Well, maybe it's because they are not 250 million old, okay? Anyway. The more doubtful scientists suggested that the sample might have been contaminated, if not during its retrieval, then perhaps while still buried. In 2001, a team from Tel Aviv University, that is in Israel, argued that B. permians was almost identical to the strain of modern bacteria, Bacillus marismotui, found in the Dead Sea, that's Israel again. Only two of its genetic sequence differed, and then only slightly. Are we to believe the Israeli researchers wrote that in 250 million years, B. permians has accumulated the same amount of genetic differences that could be achieved in just 3 to 7 days in the laboratory? In reply, Rayland suggested that bacteria evolve faster in the lab than they do in the wild, maybe. Evolved, well, changed, I guess. Probably would be better. But anyway, it is remarkable fact that well into the space age, most school textbooks divided the world of the living into just two categories, plant and animal. Microorganisms hardly featured. Amoebas and similar single-celled organisms were treated as proto-animals and algae as proto-plants. Bacteria were usually lumped in with plants too, even though everyone knew they didn't belong there. As far back as the late 19th century, the German naturalist Ernst Haeckel had suggested that bacteria deserved to be placed in a separate kingdom, which he called Monera. But the idea didn't begin to catch on among biologists until 1960s. And then only among some of them. I know that my trusty American Heritage dictionary from 1969 doesn't recognize the term. And here we get into more of the fungus things. And, just itching. When the explosion really came, my nose began to... I never had issues in regards to my nose itching and all that, but, I guess the candida might actually had... I don't know. It spread in regards of the outer surface or some outer layer of the skin. I don't know, but at least it's itchy. Or maybe it's I don't know. But I know I ate a lot of sugar and things I shouldn't have eaten, and I was feeding it. I was just feeding it, and after these around 5 days or something like that, about feeding it, it just exploded. And then I went back to my antifungal diet, and meat only and all that. And hopefully I can keep it this time and not do as, but you get this thing, it's just all in your mind, and in regards of you can just, and again, these doctors are never talking about diet, are they? No, it's like when you begin to talk about diet and all that, it seems like they just look at you like you're stupid, you know. It's like, what are you talking about? Are you stupid? You know, how are you even going to talk about diet could have an effect on your health, you know, what you intake, you know, are you stupid or something like that, right? You know, oh, I need to send you to someone that could put you a lot of pills in you, you know, psychotropic drugs and all that, because you just doesn't make sense. Are you telling me that you believe that because you eat differently that you actually can change things in regards of health and all that? Are you, you know, it's like they just look at you like you're stupid or something like that. And it's just incredible how brainwashed these people are. You know, oh yeah, because if I drink a huge amount of beer, you know, I wouldn't expect my health to decline a huge amount, would I? Oh, you know, like look at the alcoholics that drinks a huge amount of alcohol. Do you see it? Does their health go downwards? Oh yeah. Yeah. But it couldn't have anything to do with what you actually put in your mouth, right? Yeah, it's just incredible. You know, what is wrong with these people? They totally nutcases, you know. Actually, I wrote my still doctor yesterday. You know, after I'd been with, you know, over at the other guy that wrote some things and all that. I guess I could look up what they write about me and all that. But again, I probably won't find anything, you know, in regards of what they have prescribed to me and all that. And I maybe should do that at some point. But I don't think I will find anything that I wouldn't expect, you know. And so, probably, yeah, stupidities of misdiagnosed, as they usually do, and kill off people and suffer and all that. And yeah, I guess Satan has really made it hard for us on so many levels, because, you know, destroying and removing things that are natural to help us, and the remedies that actually can help us. Yeah. See here, but the idea didn't begin to catch on among biologists until the 1960s, and then only among some of them. I know that my trusty American Heritage Dictionary from 1969 doesn't recognize the term, and we already wrote that. Okay, so now we're getting to the fungi. You know, that's many organisms in the visible world were also poorly served by the traditional division. Fungi, and the group that includes mushrooms, molds, mildews, yeast, and puffballs. And apparently puffballs are those fungus that are just round. I usually would just think it was a fungi. Yeah, I guess. But anyway, puffball, yeah, that's in the fungi thing, yeah. Were nearly always treated as botanical objects, though in fact almost nothing about them, how they reproduce and respire, how they build themselves matches anything in the plant world. Structurally, they have more in common with animals in that they build their cells from chitin material. And I think, isn't it the chitin that actually, in regards of candida, the cell, the strings on the fungi, as I understand it, the defense of that is actually chitin. I remember buying some product that was said to actually destroy this, so the fungus would be wiped out, but it didn't really seem to work. So that's lost money again out the window. It didn't seem to do anything actually. But I do wonder in regards of the diflucant, but that's fixed in regards of, oh, what was it? I had some information about that the diflucant goes in and disturbs the, you know, so it explodes, you know, the fungus, the candida. So anyway, were nearly always treated as botanical objects, though in fact almost nothing about them, how they reproduce and respire, how they build themselves matches anything in the plant world. Structurally, they have more in common with animals, and that they build their cells from chitin. Chitin. I'm not sure I'm saying that's right. Chitin. A material that gives them that distinctive texture. The same substance is used to make the cells of insects and the claws of animals, though it isn't nearly as tasty in a stag beetle as in a portobello mushroom. Now, in regards of a beetle, that's an unclean animal according to the Bible, so of course you wouldn't eat a beetle. If you're going to eat something, you would eat what is it called, a locust, and I guess some of the locusts might actually also be made out of, I don't know, chitin. I don't know. Something to search or to check if one wants to check that. Anyway, above all, unlike all plants, fungi don't photosynthesize, so they have no chlorophyll. So they have no chlorophyll and thus are not green. And in regards to the Bible, I think Doug also talks about that. Eat up all the green plants and all that. I remember doing research in regards to the fungi thing, if it's actually a okay thing to eat or not. And there's differences in opinions. I think the Jews are eating fungi without any problem. So I don't know. Some are eating fungi for medicinal fungi to in regards of health and all that. So I don't know how that actually goes out in the Bible. Yeast, for example, is used in bread, right? And yeast is fungi. It's fungus. So if in the Bible they're actually using yeast in regards of bread, well, it seems like God didn't say that they shouldn't use it. Only the 7 days in regards of unleavened bread, he told them not to use yeast at that point. But overall, they were using yeast in the bread, and yeast is fungi. So maybe there's no problem with, you just have to be aware that some of these fungi are absolutely poisonous and you can die of eating them and so forth. So we have like a white mushroom. I can't remember what it's called. And in Denmark, that one have to be aware of. And we have the green as well. So I think that's the two worst things that we have in Denmark, as if you are going into fungus hunting and all that. At least those two you should be aware of, because you might actually be killed off if you eat them. Now, there are some that you just, get a trip or whatever. But I do wonder in regards of, when you see the animals and they are, the fungi takes them over and actually control them, all that. And I remember that some of those things that they release is some of the things that you get a, what do you call it, high or whatever, So that might not be a good thing either, if you're just eating, I don't know, it's just, you are getting into a state where you are not here, you're not really sensible, like alcohol. When you drink a lot of alcohol, you get into the state of not, which is, alcohol is, fungus poison, as I understand it. So, and I misused alcohol, and that's made damage to myself, which is very stupid. Anyway, okay, let's see here. Where did we go? Above all, unlike plants, fungi don't photosynthesize, so they have no chlorophyll and thus are not green. Instead, they grow directly on their food source, which can be almost anything. Fungi will eat the sulfur off a concrete wall or the decaying matter between your toes, two things no plant will do. Almost the only plant-like quality they have is that they root. So, but again, in regards to the fungus issue, it doesn't seem like the Jews have any issues in regards of fungi, that some fungi can be eaten. But yeah, but there are poisonous fungi out there, absolutely. That was in regards. I was looking into it in regards of beta glucan, and oats has beta glucan, and shiitake mushrooms have beta glucan. But I did have issues with oats, and if you're fermentating the oats, it just goes totally high wire. On my one issue, that's just totally. Actually, a lot of the fermentations things that I've tried is just making things worse. Actually, even Greek yogurt makes it worse. I don't understand it, because Greek yogurt with but apparently it does something in the Greek yogurt that. But I've tried kombucha. I've tried milk kefir. Actually, milk kefir seems to be one of the better ones. Absolutely. If anything seemed to at least, not make it worse, that was being milk kefir. There's still a slight of alcohol in it, but it's not like feeling like you're getting drunk. But that's, you feel it's a feel good thing in regards of the kefir. Kombucha is absolutely no go. Absolutely making it totally worse. There's sugar and there's alcohol in it. Absolutely no go. Water kefir, absolutely no go. There's sugar, in it in regards to the fruit juice and whatever and all that. And then, of course, alcohol. You pretty much is where you can become drunk. So no go. Absolutely no go. In regards of kale, what is it called? Sauerkraut. The thing is that I think it can be pretty rough for your teeth, all these sour things and all that. So I can't remember. I don't remember it making it just worse down there. But in regards to my teeth, it's not that good in regards of all that sour thing. But yeah, kefir was the best of the things that I tried in regards to fermentation. I've tried natto as well. I don't know if that actually do much. I can't remember if that. I don't remember having like totally. But in regards of the oats, in regards of if you try to let it stand for a day, in regards of fermentation, which some believe it's like better and all that, in regards of breaking down things and all that, that's absolutely no go for me. That's absolutely just makes it fly. So fermentation things doesn't seem to the only two I would be in regards of kefir and maybe in regards of the sauerkraut. It's but yeah, kefir would be the best that I've tried of these things in regards of at least not making it worse. And kefir also makes you feel good. It has like a feel good thing. It's yeah. I just would have liked to actually do it in regards of raw milk and all that at some point. But it's something I have in memory in regards of maybe getting some kefir at some point. Milk kefir and from the milk kefir grains, not in regards of yeah. Anyway, so that's my experience with that. So and my few notes, over these many years, I've tried different things and all that to try to get things sorted out. So. And also, I guess the good things with kefir would be actually if you actually had milk, natural unheated milk and all that, you would already get enzymes, vitamins, and good bacteria. And I think that's in regards of stimulating the immune system, actually being some immune system in the milk as well. So there's a lot of good things in the milk before you just totally annihilate it. And make a Holocaust treatment in regards of it. So if you fermented it, you can also ferment it into yogurt and all that, natural and all that, instead of that might also have been positive in regards of the gut as well, because that would be more natural food. I haven't tried natural yogurt. From again, I would probably need a cow or a goat or a sheep or something like that, and then I'm living in an apartment. I would need some place where there's greens and some place that they could grass on themselves, and not so they could just live from nature, natural, and give some really concentrated and good milk. But I don't have the possible. I guess I have. That would be one way of doing it. If I had the money, living in an auto camper would be pretty good for me, I think. And then maybe one could just buy a place with no house and all that, and just have some animals that are grazing and all that. That must be a place where you could find it a cheap thing, and where you could actually just let them room for themselves. And I've seen other places where they just the animals just walks around and do their thing and all that. And yeah, so if one had a place, and maybe you could check in every week or something like that, that would be pretty good. And fix water and all these things. Yeah, anyway. So many organisms in the visible world were also poorly served by the tradition. Anyway, we got a little off here. The same substance is used to make the. Oh, yeah, we also said that. Okay. So they have no chlorophyll and thus are not green. Instead, they grow directly on their food source, which can be almost anything. Fungi will eat the. Oh, we already took that as well. Oh yeah, okay. Even less comfortable, susceptible to categorizing, was the peculiar group of organisms formerly called myxomycetes, but more commonly known as slime molds. So slime molds, which is just fungus, is myxomycetes. I guess it's Latin or Greek, and I've even seen where they fix Latin and Greek together, making a word. I was like, oh, come on, people, why are you doing this, The name, no doubt, has much to do with their obscurity. An appellation that sounded a little more dynamic, ambulant, self-activating protoplasm, say, and less like the stuff you find when you reach deep into a clogged drain, would almost certainly have earned these extraordinary entities a more immediate share of the attention they deserve. For slime molds are, make no mistake, among the most interesting organisms in nature. Oh. When times are good, they exist as one-celled individuals. That would be like Candida, I guess, usually one-celled, and then I guess it's like when you make this, it's like looking like the sign of the 666. But anyway, so when you have one single cell, and then sometimes it there's another cell coming out of that. I think the Candida grows as well like that, right? And then of course you have the fungus form of the, but it is single cell, and then another single cell comes out, and then it newborn in some sense. I had some information on that on my Facebook when I looked into that, but very complex and all that. Anyway, one-celled individuals, much like amoebas, I'm not sure I'm saying that right, amoebas or something like that. But when conditions grow tough, they crawl to a central gathering place and become almost miraculous a slug. The slug is not a thing of beauty, and it doesn't go terrible far, usually just from the bottom of a pile of leaf litter to the top. I'm not sure what leaf litter is, but anyway, to the top, where it is in a slightly more exposed position. But for millions of years, there we go with the pagan bullshit again. This may well have been the niftiest trick in the universe. And it doesn't stop there. Having hauled itself up to a more favorable local, the slime mold transforms itself yet again, taking on the form of a plant. By some curious orderly process, the cells reconfigure like the members of tiny marching band to make a stalk atop of which forms a bulb known as a fruiting body. Inside the fruiting body are millions of spores, and spores are the fungi egg in some sense. You know, they are the eggs, of, I don't know why we call them all these things and that, but I don't know where spores are actually coming from. Maybe it's some Latin or Greek or something like that, but it doesn't really make it easier for the people to actually know what, and that's the same thing with the medical mafia, which also seems like it's like the same in regards of the Dark Ages, where they read the Bible in Latin and the people couldn't understand what they were saying. It's the exact same thing with the medical mafia we have today, where it's like, oh, they sound so clever, right? Using those awful great words, right? Oh, give me a great so I guess in regards of spores, they could just probably have said eggs, It's kind of an egg, isn't it? It's an egg that becomes a becomes a fungi, or yeast, And that was the other interesting spores from bacteria, endospores, I think they were called. And the question is, in regards to the spores and the endospores, I think they actually can survive. It's something to the spores apparently can survive a lot of things in regards of heat treatment and so forward and all that. So even if you kill off the fungi, well, the eggs are still surviving. I do wonder in regards of the endospores, in regards of probiotic, because even if the probiotic is dead and you eat it, and some say that you actually get positive results as well. One of the things might be that there might be endospores or something like that from the bacteria that actually can survive. That is actually the babies in some sense, or the eggs of But there are some differences in regards of endospores and spores. I think it was something like that bacteria could go into a mode of becoming an endospore, I think. I guess maybe if there's no food or whatever, and they might actually change. I can't remember the details of it, but that was something like, there's a huge topic, and I want to know more of the topic. Because it seems like it actually is the key to why we are not in health. Because we are pretty much, it would be pretty easy to keep healthy. It doesn't need to be complex. You just need to do, and follow nature as God created it. Have your own cow or your sheep or a goat and get milk from there, from a natural source that is not like pushed to the limit of giving milk because they can sell more and get more money and blah, 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 in regards of, instead of quality, then have quantity. So I think we can do a lot, and actually change things back but we need to have some information in regards of. But again, if we know, and when we are healthy, we are healthy, and if we had just learned that from which we pretty much have learned nothing. And if we have learned something in regards to the state school and all that, we have been taught falsehood. Oh yeah, the pyramid, right? The pyramid, what is in the bottom of the pyramid? It's all the things that feeds fungus. and have a lot of mycotoxins. And what is on the top of the pyramid? Meat. It's like, oh. Anyway. So, yeah. It's just, I wish I actually had one of these, pictures of it, because I can remember it, but I would be nice to actually, there must be, one of these old pyramids that one could show, what they actually said that we should eat a lot of, right? A lot of the things that can have a lot of fungus poison. And of course, they're destroying our meat sources as well with, their stupidities. So, when we get sick and we blame God for getting sick, whose fault is it really? Is it God's fault or is it our fault? Who is ruining the design of creation? Is it God that is ruining it, or is it us ruining it? It's us. So it's just stupid when we blame God for these things that because it's us. It's us ruining everything. Everything. Man has a way of ruining everything and anything he gets his fingers at. It's not God. It's us. We need to look in ourselves, in our mirror, and and not blame God for everything and anything when it's our fault, because we're not following his guidelines and we are pretty much just ruining everything. And money, mammon. People, you can make people do anything for mammon. I just saw one of these people, these comic guys and all that, making fun of, he was retarded, what is it called? Not retarded, he was, he had issues. I don't know how you say it nicely. He was, what do you call it? I guess retarded would be one word, but I guess that is a nicer word for, but he had issues and all that. And he was making fun of himself and all that. And okay, but he was making like a joke that, hey, I can go, it's not nice to actually make fun of people with disabilities. That might be the better word, disabilities. But, if I'm getting 750 kroners out of it, I will go a long way. And people laughed and all that. Well, I guess the principle is still the principle that people will go a long way if you give them enough money, enough grains in some sense, enough, oh, you will give me for just keeping my mouth shut? Oh yeah, I'll just keep my mouth shut. Now think about it in regards to these white coat murderers out there. If they don't follow the guidelines and all that of the medical industry and all that, what can happen? Well, they can be booted. And if they speak against some of their drugs and all that, they can be booted. They can get fired. And think about all that education down the toilet, which is bullshit education, making people sick and all that. Anyway, and giving them drugs that's, from the, and just making things worse and worse. And, it's just incredible. Anyway, and what will happen if he loses his job? Oh, all that money and the stage, the authority that he gets by being a doctor, a white coat doctor. Oh, he loses all that. Oh, he loses his, his status in society, and he loses his resources, and all the education will be wasted and all that. Yeah. So, there's a lot of ways to keep people, to keep them at the status quo. Of course, in regards of some doctors, when they find out about this system, totally rebel against it and, gets fired. Like the woman that wrote the Medical Mafia book. She has been a doctor in Canada, in the US, and in France. And she became a doctor to do good. And she found out that was not, So she wrote a book on it, and, she got fired and all that. It's called The Medical Mafia. Just be careful in regards of I remember it actually being mixed with some of these some pagan ideas and all that. And that's the thing is, you have to be careful. There might be truth, but it also might be mixed in with some. You have to discern, and that's one of the reasons why you need to study the Bible, so you can begin to discern what is right and what is not. Like, for example, when I look at Dr. Kaufman, he's a Roman papist, and he do promote Christ Mass, Easter, Halloween, Sunday, and such things, and the New Year, so-called New Year and all that. Else the New Year of Janus, the pagan god of Janus, and in regards to Christ Masses, in regards to the sun birth and all that, in regards to the sun, the literal sun, Solar Invictus, the pagan god and all that. There's other names as well. Easter is also in regards of a goddess and all that. Nothing to do with the Bible, egg-laying raps and Satan claws and, and all the other bullshit, tooth fairy and, gnomes and other pagan bullshit, And demons comes in many disguises, by the way, and deceive people. And oh well. Anyway, I had contact with some of these demons in my occult days, and yeah, they're for real. And what do I care if people don't believe me? It doesn't matter because I know. So it doesn't really, Anyway, let's go further here. And what I experience in regards to these entities is that they're very, very, very clever deceivers. So anyway, they come in many disguises like dead people, aliens, a higher self, or gods and all that, bad gods and good gods and whatever, or bad spirits or good spirits, and they really play a lot of people around, So anyway, so again, many disguises, but yeah, the whole idea is to deceive you and lead you away from the truth. And what truth? Well, in regards to Jesus Christ, who died for the sins of the world, and not to find out who the Antichrist is in this world. Now, the Antichrist is the Roman emperor, the triune tyrant. He is the Pontifex Maximus. It's the Pope. It's the so-called Pope, because we're said to never call anyone Father on this earth. But the so-called Holy Father thinks apparently that's a title he should take upon himself. So it's blasphemy and abomination, and they worship a cookie. And the Roman papists are worshipping a cookie. And of course the Mariolatry and all that bullshit and different so-called saints. Some of these people that the Roman Catholic Church have sainted are just totally abomination. You really, in regards of Ignatius Loyola, you really think he should be sainted? Okay. Well, I guess, and the guy in regards of, I can't remember the other two guys that I just have in memory in regards of their names, but in regards of murderers and persecutors of people, just wanting to spread the Bible in their own language and all that. Anyway, let's get back to it. And it doesn't matter there, having hauled itself up to be a more favorable local, the slime mold transforms itself again, taking on the form of a plant. By some curious, orderly process, the cells reconfigure, like the members of a tiny marching band, to make a stalk atop of which forms a bulb known as a fruiting body. Fruiting. Or seeds, maybe, we call it, I guess, seeds in regards of plants, right? And in regards of the animal, we call it eggs, right? A seed might, I guess, okay, animal that, but in essence, it's just an egg or a seed, it's of the fungi. Which at the appropriate moment are released to the wind to blow away to become single-celled organisms that can start the process again. So it's the way for the fungi to spread itself. So anyway, For years, slime molds were claimed as protozoa by zoologists, and as fungi by mycologists. And fungi by mycologists would be, I guess, fungi people, researchers. Though most people could see they didn't really belong anywhere. When genetic testing arrived, people in lab coats, that's the white coats I guess, were surprised to find that slime molds were so distinctive and peculiar that they weren't directly related to anything else in nature, and sometimes not even to each other. In 1969, in an attempt to bring some order to the growing inadequacies of I guess, in the growing inadequacies of classification, an ecologist from Cornwall named R.H. Whittaker, so his name is I.H. Whittaker, I don't think that would be his full name, would it? Unveiled in the journal Science a proposal to divide life into 5 principal branches. There we have the word of branches. It's a good word, branches, but I just tend to forget it. It's actually interesting when I was looking into these books and all that, and I was very close to actually, just putting it back. And then I just, fell over this side of this page, fungi. It's just, the fungi just came, fungi. Oh, that's something about fungi in this book. Oh. It's pretty much just put, the page. It's just, of all the pages that I was, just this, I think I actually just looked it up and it's like, oh, fungi. Oh, that might actually be interesting. So I took it with me, And it seems to be actually the only subject that is pretty much that would be interesting to get some information from. So I guess that's anyway. It's interesting also to see these coincidences. Thinking of coincidences. Where it's like something, and then it's just, it just seems like, wow, that's interesting that you would have it in. Like, for example, I was in Jerusalem and I heard from, I was at Nehemiah Gordon. And Nehemiah Gordon is a Jew, a Karaite Jew and all that. And he invited me, and his ex-wife invited me to his, very nice of them to invite me and all that. And it was very good, very good. And he was speaking about things, and I'm totally, I love listening to these things. And he talked about that in regards of worshiping the dead, praying to the dead. That was actually, the Catholics actually got that from the Jews and not the Jews from the Catholics. When the Roman Catholics are doing that thing and all that, the so-called saints and all that. And I found out that the so-called rabbis are actually, you can go to different so-called rabbis. But anyway, I heard about this thing to this meeting, and the very next day I saw it with my own eyes. It's just kind of interesting, You just heard about it and then you see it the next day. You run into it. So anyway, and I was talking to a Jewish woman in regards of this, and this place where I'd come to was apparently the place where you went to when you have trouble, getting a child. You would pray to this so-called rabbi. And they seem to have differences of different so-called rabbis, like the Catholic Church have different, so-called saints to pray to. Oh, it's just too incredible. Um, so in to say it. Oh yeah, I guess it's the C vitamin that makes me fart a little. Um, I've taken 20 pills of vitamin C, so I just have to be aware that if you take too much vitamin C, you end up on the toilet throne. So, but that's also how you can actually see if you come to the point of, your gut begins to growl and so forward. And when you get to the point of your gut beginning to growl, if you take much more, you will end up on the toilet. So, so that's a good indication that you are pretty close to the point where if you take more, you will, sit on the toilet throne for a while. And by the way, actually one of the things that if you want to loosen your stools, I think it's called, if you just take a high dose of vitamin C, you will, if you have tried to get to the equivalent of vitamin C, you will know that what comes out is pretty fluently, So, yeah, anyway. That's the only real thing that I know that vitamin C is. I know some of the other vitamins that I tried, some you have to be careful of. That's one of the B vitamins that just totally make you just can't sleep, I can't remember if it's like vitamin B5 or something like that. But there's one of these B vitamins that's totally just, you can't sleep, and you're tired, but you can't sleep, if you have taken too much of it. And you can really feel bad in some sense because you're just tired, you want to sleep. And I do wonder if one could actually use that for, if one could get lower. But there's a lot of things that I could test in regards of different things. But there are some vitamins that seems to be where one needs to take care, yeah. In regards of vitamin D3, it actually has a half-life. I think it's like a monthly half-life or something like that. I can't remember. I did a lot of research on vitamin D many years ago and wrote a little paper on it. I actually had access to all the things in regards of medical documents and all that the Danish doctors had access to many years ago. And what did they do? They closed it, and now you need to pay 700 kroners for 1 or 2 days for access for that. It's like, what? Are we not paying this medical industry enough money, and they are not, they can't even be transparent? It's like, I was really angry at that point, I was sitting there in regards of vitamin C. It was the beginning where vitamin C was beginning to be, and they had a lot of articles, and you could see the doctors writing to each other in regards of, and I could get directly access to what they had access to. But no, you're not allowed to do that. Get out of our place. As I understand it, doctors have access to this without paying money. It's just us, that actually, that is outside that needs to pay a huge amount of money to get access to it. That's I don't like that. Yeah, I think everything should be, but they don't want us to have the information. You see, they want us to be, what shall we say? They want to have the power. They want to be the rulers in some sense over us. They don't want us to have the information so we can help ourselves. It's just a wicked system. They want to steal that information from us, and then they want to use it for like vitamin D and all that. That's one of the vitamins, right? So, but keeping the information away from the people is not the way to do it. That's just disgusting. Anyway, the whole system is utterly disgusting. You just, you can dig and dig and dig and dig, and it's just filthy turds all the way through, it's just a never-ending smelly turd. It's just you think, oh, this is incredible, and then you just, the more you dig, the more filth you find. It's all over. It's just all over. But at least they looked a little into vitamins. But when they keep the information away from the public, it's just absolutely. But anyway, I had like a huge folder with just vitamin D articles. I was really going into in regards to the vitamin D at that point, and I made a short folder. I never got to, make it totally, finished. I never, because I needed, I had trouble writing more information. In regards of, to fill up the page. I just took everything and, what do you call it? When you are, crossing the information down. So it's, anyway. Instead of needing to read hundreds and hundreds of pages on the subject. So yeah. So let's see here. So divide life into 5 principal branches, kingdoms as they are known, called Animalia, Plantae, Fungi, Protista, and Monera. Protista was a modification of an earlier term, Protostista, which had been suggested a century earlier. Maybe I need some tea here. There we go. Of my Iberoso, which is called something else in English apparently. Well, I guess maybe it's both words, but not really tasting good. I really don't like the taste. Actually, they have a version where they actually have mint in it, and I tried that, and I remember that was actually a lot more tasting, and I do love mint, so maybe I should try that as well, and mint I think is also antibiotic. I have these, I usually went around with oil drops of mint as well, and just take a drop and put it in, and I was like, it feels, it's like, you really get a huge amount of, mint in the mouth. Because I remember when I was a child, we have these, what is it called, where you, what's it called, and it was called Vicks. I'm not sure if they actually still make them. It was like, you got really a sensation and all that. But I found out when I was a small child that if you actually crush them, you really get a woohoo! And that's, I love that. But instead of actually buying these sugar bombs, I guess there probably was a lot of sugar in them as well. You could actually just buy the mint oil, and that would last you a month or something like that, or more. And you could just take one drop, and it's like, woo! That's good. Anyway. So anyway, that's just a little thing. I love that, and I really need to get some mint again. It's nice just to have it in your bag or whatever, on your jacket, and you could just take one drop and just feel that. Oh, it's amazing. And of course, I guess it also helps in regards of your mouth breath as well, because you get, actually it's really, I remember sitting at one of these exams, or I think it actually was a test exam, and I was sitting and writing, and I just took one drop or something like that, and I had complained from people sitting, or from a person sitting, back and all that. So it is really, it is powerful, and but it's nice. I love it, and I think there was something in regards of it being actually antifungal as well. and we love antifungal. As much antifungal we can get in the body, the better. I'm so tired of this fungus, that's for sure. How could we have lost the idea of fungus being an issue in our society? Just totally focus on bacteria, and then just ruining our food sources. So anyway, let's see here. So prostista was a modification of an earlier term, prostoxista, which had been suggested a century earlier by a Scottish biologist named John Hogg, and was meant to describe any organisms that were neither plant nor animal. Though Whittaker's new scheme was a great improvement, prostista remained ill-defined. Some taxonomists, one of these big words again, reserved the term of the large unicellular organism, and I guess it's like universe, like being one, like uni being one, and then you have cellular, unicellular organisms. That would be another word, I guess, for one-celled organisms. But you need to have some of these, magnificent words, great words, in the book and all that. I just never, and I guess I'm somewhat affected myself in regards to this. Because when you then begin to research and all that, and, you get more words that you would, I like talking on a child level, because that makes sense, I think. But I must say, after needing to know a lot of these words to actually decipher what people actually are saying, you end up getting some of these words in your vocabulary. I can't even say it. Vocabulary. Anyway, you know what I mean. Hopefully. The eukaryotes. That's one of these big words again. So apparently they reserved the term for large unicellular organisms, the eukaryotes. Maybe it says that, like eukaryotes or something like that. But others treated it as the kind of odd sock drawer of biology. And I guess biology must mean in regards of living things, if I remember correctly. Biology, yeah, that was something in regards of that word. Anyway. Putting into it anything that didn't fit anywhere else. It includes, depending on which text you consulted, slime molds, amoebas, even seaweed, among much else. By one calculation, I actually never got to finish the other thing in regards to the radiation, did I? I don't think I did. The story of the... I'm sorry, I'm jumping here, and there's so many things, I think actually was the last video. But the thing is, in regards of radiation, I had my mobile up the leg, and I was playing a game, and I was playing music from YouTube or something else, I think it was music, and I was sitting with the mobile, very close to my one leg. And it began to hurt at that exact point of the leg where I had my mobile. Again, I think I have fungus all over, so it's not really. So it could be the fungus that actually reacted to it, and might actually have put out more mycotoxins, and that might have been the things that made it hurt. I'm not sure. Maybe something else. But the thing is, I was sitting and I was streaming from the internet. I was playing a game, holding my mobile very close to my I had my I had my mobile like this, and some of the so I had my mobile pretty close to my leg, to my one leg, and it began to hurt at the exact point where I had my mobile. But when you're playing a computer game or whatever, you can take the pain and just put it away in some sense and just keep on playing, right? So I didn't really, I let it be and all that, and I was playing along and listening to music and all that, and it came so painful. So I literally had to, I had to close the internet connection away, and get my mobile. I just, it was so painful. It became so painful having my mobile. So I don't know in regard, but something absolutely, in regards of the radiation from the mobile, it absolutely affects us, or affects the fungi that is in us, that then makes more mycotoxins, fungus poison, that, whatever the case, it affects us. So anyway, and that's actually rather the reason why I usually go to 3G and not 4G. 3G is actually a lot. I've looked at in regards to radiation and all that, and it's a lot less than 4G on this mobile anyway. I was actually I thought that 2G would actually be the best thing to GSM, I think it's called. I thought that 2G would be the best for radiation and all that, and I had this testing device, and I was surprised that 2G and 4G was the worst. 3G was actually the best. So usually I run 3G on my mobile, but now that I'm on video and all that, I'm just running 4G just to get some more juice for the recording and all that, upload and all that. But yeah, I was very surprised that it would be so high on 4G and 2G, and actually very low compared to the others. It was actually very low on 3G. So, and 3G is usually enough for me, So in regards to radiation, if you have one of these devices, you can check the mobile. You can also pretty much find out where the antenna is by the radiation and all that, and yeah, and it really quickly goes up to the red, So yeah, I don't know if it's only my mobile in regards of, and I guess being on different levels of the spectrum and as well might also have difference of impacts on the different microbes. I do wonder in regards to, for example, you can smash a glass. What do you call it? You can smash. What is it called? These glasses, these crystal glasses, with your voice. And how is that? Well, that's because the glass have this vibration. And when you get to that vibration with your mouth, you can actually smash this crystal glass. And a lot of people, there's a lot of YouTubes on that and all that, where people are smashing glasses with their voice. Another thing that I remember, I was whistling, and I was trying to hit the tone of the mobile, and when I hit the exact same tone of the mobile, I could feel it. I could feel it when I was fluting. It was a weird sensation, I could feel when I hit the same note that the mobile was producing, the speaker of the mobile was producing. You feel the, the thing, and that's the thing where you have this vibration. If it's the same vibration, you can make other things vibrate, even if you haven't hit it or anything like that. And I do wonder in regards to the vibrations that we may be making with the mobiles might actually have, maybe the microbes have those vibrate. I don't know, but maybe the mobile vibrations actually are in that level, and then make, and irritates the fungus, and thereby makes it. I don't know. It's an idea anyway. Whatever the case, it seems that it actually is doing something to these fungus, and thereby promoting fungus poison in us when we have them growing in us. So of course the best thing was actually to kill them off, right? If they are places they shouldn't be. But it seems like this whole world is tuned to actually give us fungus, eating sugar, eating bad things, destroying our food sources, destroying our ways to actually battling these fungi, and destroying our defenses and the checkpoints that we have by, for example, antibiotic and over drinking. Alcohol is promoted. The thing is also with commercials and all that. And I don't think I should actually be, I have, my phone is not rooted, my Android is not rooted, but I don't think it's criminal to actually have a blogger on your own mobile blocking all these advertisings on it, because most of these advertisings that they usually are promoting is, for example, alcohol. One commercial after another in regards to alcohol, lewd things that is just promoting paganism. And so anyway, by the way, if you have an Android phone, I could absolutely recommend this application. And you don't need to have your phone rooted. You don't need to have administrator rights to actually have this functioning. It's the best application that I've been able to find. You just push it. It's very what do you call it? It's just very simple. You just push the thing here, and it's running at the moment and so forward. As you can see, you can support it. It's open source and all that. Ad blocking enabled. Enjoy. Powered by Block This and all that. This is free as well. So anyway, I found one other applications, but they were selling the data. But it was free in some sense. It was free in the way that they were taking your data and selling it. It's just and there's so many applications are trying to steal our, they want our information, and I'm getting kind of really tired of it. But that's another topic. So I shouldn't go off topic about that. But anyway, so it included, depending on which text you consulted, slime molds or moebas, even seaweed, among much else. By one calculation, it contained as many as 200,000 different species of organism all told. That's a lot of odd socks. So it's like a odd sock drawer, they say, or he says. So, what was it? I was thinking about something. I forgot it. Anyway. Ironically, just as Whittaker's Five Kingdoms classification was beginning to find its way into textbooks, an unassuming academic of University of Illinois was groping his way towards a discovery that would challenge everything. His name was Carl Vos or something like that, Vos or whatever, Vos. Rhymes with Rose, Vos Rose, I guess. Okay, and since the mid-1960s, or about as early as it was possible to do so, he had been quietly studying genetic sequence in bacteria. In early days, this was an exceedingly painstaking process. Work on a single bacterium could easily consume a year. At that time, I think I need some more water. Oh, tea. And I'm telling you, it tastes bad. Oh, anyway. Oh yeah. So it wasn't cheap either, but I'm going to hit this, fungus, trying to hit this fungus, as best as I can at the moment. There's a lot of, I haven't tried leaf extract, it's called olive leaf extract, and I do wonder if I could just eat the olive leaves. It seems like I found, I was like one of these places in the Middle East where they were chewing on olive leaves and never got diabetes. Well, maybe they didn't get diabetes because they chewed on these leaves that was anti-fungus. I think dog has pretty much connected the diabetes to fungus problem as well, in regards of at least one of them. I guess in regards to destroying the thing, I think was. In any way, it was interesting that the article, this was outside dogs, others from other studies and all that. But they were talking about that they never got diabetes. And they were chewing on these olive leaves. I was like, oh, well, if the olive leaves are antifungal and you get diabetes because of the cause of fungus, because in regards of the havoc they can make. Well, if you then have olive leaves that kills off fungus, well, then you actually take out the cause. If you annihilate the fungus, well, there you go. That's the reason why you don't get diabetes then, But apparently it talked about them chewing on it. I don't know if they actually ate them or just chewed on it. It's just said in regards to chewing on them. I wouldn't think that would be a problem actually eating olive leaves, but I haven't tried it. I should have tried it when I was in Israel. I actually have looked into if you can actually get a tree in Denmark, but it seems to be possible. But still, it's cold, but it would be nice to actually have a tree that you could just take some leaves from and eat. It isn't simply indifference that keeps the total. No. We're jumping here. Okay, yeah. Work on a single bacterium could easily consume a year. At that time, according to Vos, only about 500 species of bacteria were known, which is fewer than the number of species you have in your mouth. Today, the number is about 10 times that. So according to this, I guess there must be at least 5,000 bacteria found. Though that is still far short of the 26,900 species of algae and 70,000 of fungi. Didn't Doc says there was 1.5 million different species of fungi and maybe even more in regards of maybe 2 million? If that is the case, at least these numbers seems to be a little wrong. But anyway, so 70,000 they say of fungi and 30,800 of amoebas. I think we need to look this word up in regards of amoebas because I don't know what that is. We're getting low on the battery again, it seems. That's the thing when you're actually uploading and using the camera and all that, it takes a lot of battery. Let's take another one here and just put in. Well, it's called amoebos. And actually, now the camera is a little off. That happens when the mobile is working sometimes. I haven't found any program that actually can run the. Oh, here we go. So apparently these are amoebos. Amoebo, rarely spelled amoeba. Amoeba, that's an A apparently. Plural amoebas. Well, anyway. For any organism that exhibits a amoeboid movement. Okay. Whatever. Anyway. Some kinds of small things apparently. Oh yeah, let's just jump out again. And I don't understand why Android haven't made it available that you can actually turn your camera around when you are on the, we, I don't know why they wouldn't fix that. Anyway, but that's why I'm also looking to to the Librem 5 phone, which I still hope becomes a success. But they have a long way yet, it seems. But I hope it will turn out good, so one can change the mobile to. They seem to have some years. It's going to take some more times to. But anyway, I hope they succeed. It will be like real Linux, and you will have administrator rights from out of the box. You don't have that with Android or Apple. Anyway, and trying to get the freedom back to the user and not to the company, so they can despotically misuse their power, as they tend to do, and do stupid. So let's see here. Okay. So 70,000 of fungi and 30,800 of amoebas and related organisms whose biographics fill the annals of biology. By the way, I'm kidding totally. There's inputs all the time. I found out that actually in the university in Denmark, they actually have an education in fungus. Now, I also found out that we actually have, in regards of, this is one of the experts in Denmark, and she is an expert in regards of the state thing in regards of fungus. Where was the other document? Oh my. Oh, it's typical. Where did I put that? But in any case, I found out that actually in the Danish university, they actually have an education. I'm not entirely sure if you need other education to actually be allowed to take the course, but it's like 206 hours. I don't know if it's full hours or just the school hours of 3/4 or. But 206 hours in regards of learning about fungus and testing things and all that. And I was thinking, sounds interesting at least. So, and I do wonder which books they actually have, because maybe one could, if I could get some of the real school material in regards of what they know, I could get more research on fungus, which they seem to hide away from us in some sense. I don't know where that, it's not easy with all these documents, but this was one of the documents, so it should have been here. I wonder where I actually, oh well, I can find it on the internet again, of course, but it had different, maybe, no, it wasn't. What is this? This is in regards of, this is something spit grow. That's in regards to the laboratory thing. That's compendium. So that's some other fungus resources I actually have. Okay. It's not, yeah. When you have more, this is another folder where I have in regards of fungus and fungus medicine like nystatin and so forward. And so, but apparently the document I looked for isn't. Anyway, so I found out that they have this education, and I need to check up on that and see if I can figure out more information on that. That could be interesting. I think it also learns you how to test things in regards to fungus and all that, so there's some laboratory thing and all that. I'm just not sure they will allow me. It's like you probably need another education in it. I'm not entirely sure. It's like a university thing and all that. So I don't know. I don't know if they would allow me, but it could be interesting. Like 206 hours on fungus. To get more details on the enemy, so Oh. Yeah. I just had a... I guess the tea is kind of... But we also have a problem in regards to the battery and brake.